Hampter.
Hello, chat room. Welcome to another Hamela Hampter stream. We're not even going to go to the Zatsu page today. I'm gonna come hang out on our little, my little collection here. Oops, like you can definitely see my legs if I'm not careful. So I'm gonna fix that really quick. Oh. Nice, Matt. Thank you. It was a birthday present to myself that I bought last year, and then I finally got like 2 months ago. But it's very nice because if I drop a piece, then I can easily it won't roll away. Whoa, a sword. Anyway, hello. I hope you guys are doing well today. Welcome. Today we will be making some legally distinct RPG monsters from Daiso's brick building line. They're Petit block, as they call it. I collected these last year and just never got a chance to actually build them. I think I'm almost positive that the stream that I was gonna start making these on was when my legs started to give me trouble, so then I ended up not doing it, and then I put it off and I put it off and I put it off, and now we're doing it, and I'm pretty stoked about it. At least we got a scooter. Anyway, I should say hi to every Hammie now. Hello, Super Manager. Hello, Johnny. Third is still available if anybody wants it. Hello, Blackberry. Hello, Crow. Hello, Goji. I think I said hello, Blackberry already. Anyway, hi. Happy Sunday? Yeah, it's Sunday. This weekend kind of blew by, didn't it? Hi, Nina. Welcome. Anyway, yeah, I'm really excited. We're gonna listen to some music and have ourselves a good time. And I'm gonna build some of these. I still have no idea which ones I'm gonna make or if I'm just gonna go in order. Part of me is kind of like, oh, maybe you should go in order. But yeah, no, I'm really excited. Something I thought was really fun about these is they're all they're all based off of a oh, roll a dice. That's a good idea. Hold on, I'll roll a die. Let me see. Can I just pull up do I have a die? Where is my die? My die is downstairs. I could probably find a coin. Hold on. I'm trying to find out if I have anything in my desk here. If I can flip or... Oh man, I used to have die around here, but I think I took it downstairs when I got all my magic stuff. summon Mr. Bark to get dice. I should. Let's see. Do I have anything? I don't think I have anything. Shit. Hi, Mr. Bark. You're crazy. You're crazy. Give me a sec, actually. Give me a sec. I'm gonna hide the Mr. Bark cam and rummage around my office really fast. Hi, Pat Ware. Hi, Heather. Welcome, welcome. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Hamster. Mr. Bark, you don't gotta bark, Mr. Bark. Let's see. Is there a die around here? Is there a die around here?
Hi, doggy.
Do I have die anywhere? Oh wait, I found one! I knew I had one up here! Hammie, are you a dice goblin? What's a dice goblin? Do I hoard dice? Because I have a bunch of different... I don't have too many, but I do have some die. I kind of want more though, so maybe I am a little bit of a dice hoarder. Or at least a dice hoarder in training. An inspired... Look at this pretty die I have. We'll roll this, and then I'll use that to decide if we get 1 through 8. Thank you, Johnny, for the lurk. Oh wait, hi doggy. Mr. Bark, I gotta show you guys. When I went to Target today, and I specifically needed a good looks like a countdown die. Yeah, it is it's one of the big magic die. One of the spin down die. Is Super Manager a dice dragon? Maybe, I think so. I don't know. Do you have a bunch of die? You have like the amount of die. Hi, C Drummer. Yeah, no, it's one of the spin down dice though, I thought. But I went to Target today and I got a new container for Mr. Bark's treats. So whenever you guys give him a treat, I get to open up this cute little heart-shaped box. It locks in place and everything. And I'm super excited, and now I don't forget. Oh, you want to give him a treat? Okay, I'll give him a treat. You can have the double camera experience. I'll give him one of these ones. He hasn't had one in a minute. Can you test it? Yes, I can. And you get the double camera action. Is this your Super Manager? For some reason I thought it was the Final Fantasy one, but it would have been really thematic if it was the Final Fantasy one, but no, it's not, is it? That one's smaller. That one's smaller. Anyway. Hello. I found a die. We'll roll it, and then that one will decide where we get started. I have to get 1 through 8, so it may take a couple tries. Ah, gotcha. Maybe I am a dice goblin. Maybe you are. Here, let me move these out of the way for a minute so you guys can see which one I get. Oh god. We got 6. So that one is the Azure Dragon. Anyway, if you're not familiar with Daiso, it's a Japanese dollar store and it's the coolest place on earth. Just so you're aware. Azure Dragon, close, but give me a sec. I gotta make sure I don't get anything in my camera here. I'm excited. I'll hold on to this because we'll probably make a few. I don't know how long we're gonna go tonight. We might not go super long. Oh, I have to get music going. I'm gonna get music going. Can you guys even hear it? Hold on. Crashed out on stream when I heard how they pronounced the legal name in Wilds. Oh, hi Major, thank you for the lurk. But yeah. Hello. Don't forget tonight you can fish if you want. I had to make sure I turned it on. I need to move that around. We're gonna move it around. I could make it bigger tonight. Sorry, Thancred. Music's a bit loud. Okay. Music a little higher than you. How about now? Is this a little bit better? It's not very loud on my earphones. I should turn it up on my earphones. Hi, Kashua. Welcome. I'm so not used to actually playing music on my stream. Like, I mean, I do it when I can, when I need to, but I don't do it often. But I'm excited. I've been literally looking forward to this because I kept not having much of an opportunity to. And now I get to fish and make these little guys. A scooter? And yeah, when we finished the RPG ones, at some point, when we finish the RPG ones, I have a hamster one. I have a hamster one, and then I think I have a red panda. I tend to kind of accumulate these because every time I go to Daiso, I'm like, I could buy another one. They're only $2. Junk scooter. That's your scooter. Someone else's junk is another person's treasure, whatever they say. This actually looks really simple. Daiso is very dangerous. I have such a hard time not going in there and spending money, so when I'm broke like I am right now, I really can't. I can't. I just can't. I gotta be so good. But I need to go there because I need more, makeup wand thingies. Because they have these really cool, if you have long nails, it kind of sucks to get makeup out of jars. So, they sell these little, like, scoops. Little tiny wand scoop things, and they're pretty awesome. I need to stock up on them because I have too many things of makeup. I'm gonna use this to flatten it, maybe. This looks like it's not gonna be too hard. I'm really excited about that anyway. Anyway, I hope you guys have been doing good. What have you been up to? I hope you had a good weekend. Oh, you know what? I should get a little thing. Hold on. I should get a little, I should have... Yes, I do. I am gonna get these out, but that way I don't run into any issue or misplace blocks.
Heather tipped 20 USD. Broke Hamster? I can help with that.
Oh, Heather, that's very sweet of you. Thank you. I will be responsible. I will be responsible. Thank you. You're very kind. I really appreciate it. Queen of the Bit returns. It's true. Heather is Queen of the Bit. We have the King and the Queen of the Bit tonight. We have Crow who gave 51 gifted and Heather that gave 52 gifted. Everyone say thank you. That's really funny. Hi, Kissy. How many dragon jokes so far? Hopefully none. Hopefully none. Or else. And I'm gonna be honest, this is my playlist that I did last time I made Puyo Hams, so, or wait, no, I did this for Puzzle Night. I just added more songs. I added more songs, so it's gonna be about the same. But that's okay. Very hungry, so I'll be lurkies while I make food. I hope you have a yummy, yummy dinner. Come back and tell us about it, okay? Let's see, okay, so. Mr. Bark has been really chatty tonight, by the way, so I apologize ahead of time if he is a little barky. He lives up to his name, you know. So this is our first, I think we need two of these. I hope it's not too hard. I hope it's not too hard to see. I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Just all the colors on the map might make it a little annoying, but let's see. I'm gonna look closely at this really fast. And then we need this to hold these two back. Oh my god, it's gonna be really hard because my nails are really long again. Sorry you have to hear my cool dog barking. You know what, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right, I shouldn't apologize. You guys, I mean, I should apologize when he's right in the mic. But if he's in the background, I mean, he does live up to his name. He does live up to his name. Is this where I'm supposed to do it? No, it's not. I gotta do it a little bit further up. Pat, where you had a stream today, right? I hope it went well. Is there... This is just a regular 4-piecer. You beat a game? What game did you beat? Tell me about it. You can chill yourself. I don't mind. We say thank you to Mr. Bark for blasting our ears. I mean, you can. I'm sure he appreciates it. So this piece goes in here, which is kind of sick. I've never had one that works like that. This one's really cool because it's got like joints and stuff. Crosscode been playing it for like a year, I think. Oh my goodness. I have games like that. We don't talk about it though. Until it gets brought up, I guess. And then we have this guy. Yeah, this guy goes on top here. I've already dropped it. Well, congratulations on beating it, though. It feels really good. I always get really excited when I can add a game to the list of games that I beat. I actually need to double check and make sure I didn't already add to a T. Yeah. So we have another one with a weird droid. Oh, I see how this works, though. I do see how this works. I think, maybe. These go here. Yeah, I'm trying to clear out my backlog and actually finish games, but it's so hard since new games come out too. I know! I feel your pain so hard, Nina. I am really struggling with that lately. I had an injury over the summer, which kind of set me back like a lot. I have a few games that I still haven't picked up from before that happened. So it's like, it's kind of like, oh man, at some point I need to go pick those back up, but when is it too long, and when have people forgotten, and will they care, will they mind, you know? Streaming is a cheat code for actually finishing games. This is true. I do finish more games since I started streaming than I did before I started streaming, so that rocks at least. We're gonna need these 2 red pieces in a minute though. I'm gonna dig them out. Looks like we have extras. My backlog grows and I'm not even playing much recently. No, I get it too. Spent a bit of Friday evening making an Excel document of games I played on stream per year with whether or not I finished it. That's smart. See, I started doing that when I began streaming. I had like a Google Docs that I was trying to keep up with. And then I would also put games that people would suggest on there. But it kind of grew a little bit out of control. And then I just couldn't keep up. And then it kind of ended up going on the back burner, and I need to revisit it because it really was helpful before I got overwhelmed by it. But yeah, no, I need to get back on it. I have a new planner, so I got a really nice planner for Christmas, so I'm also wondering if maybe I could use that to my advantage too. I haven't quite figured it out. finished list than I thought, but more than I used to. That's good at least. It's the little things. I don't think chat will hold that against you. Let's see. So we need 2 of the L blocks. There's 1. I need 2. The backlog spreadsheet. Mine is so full. No, we do not shame here. Oh god. I do get it though. I do get it. And then like I have a bunch of games coming out this year, which is very, very strange because I feel like last year I had a little bit of a drought. I had a little bit of a drought last year, it feels like. Oh my god, I can't hold anything. I should have trimmed my nails for this. This one does not want to go in. I also think in 2025, I kind of suffered from some motivational issues, and I kind of still do a little bit. But we are doing our best, and that's all I can really ask myself sometimes, you know? I'm just happy with what if I manage to get stuff, that's awesome. If not, you know, it's not the end of the world. Didn't even check Steam last winter sale because I'll buy something again. No, I got a lot of gifts this year. Like every Hammie even spoiled the crap out of me, and I'm so grateful. I got games I gotta play though. Oh my god. Do not judge me for how bad I'm struggling with this. Spoiler her more. Oh my god, no. You don't have to do that. I appreciate you though. I am hoping to put aside enough money to get Pragmata, and then of course there's Life is Strange reunion, but we gotta make sure we finish Double Exposure first, unfortunately. We need a lawn piece, a lawn teal piece now. Uh-oh, these are gonna be really hard, so I am gonna get my tweezers. I'm glad I got these out, I almost didn't. Maybe. Maybe, I don't know. Hold on, I'm gonna look at this closer. I think I may have done this wrong, actually. Did I? Ham, do you have the Lego cute ham with a flower? I don't think so. That sounds really cute, though. Wait, cute. Wait, hold on. Cute hamster with the flower. I think I messed this all up, so I'm gonna start this piece over, I think, and look really closely. Hi, Crimson! Welcome, welcome! Wait, okay, so I think what I'm looking at here is, I think this goes like this, perhaps. I need to double check, though. Oh my god, I'm so clumsy. It's been so long. I should have clipped my nails. 3-in-1 thing, you can make a bird, a hedgehog, and a hamster. I saw the seal one. I saw the seal one, but I haven't seen the hamster. That sounds adorable. Is it like, I think it's like this actually. I'm a big liar. There we go. Yeah, it's like that. It's like that. It is adorable. I'm gonna look it up. I'll look it up in like 2 seconds here. Once I get unturned around. mic radiation is back. Shit. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay, I think I may have at least temporarily resolved it. This week I think I'll move my microphone. I'm gonna have to move my microphone, I think. It's just a hassle. So I haven't done it yet, but I know I need to. I know I need to. I know it'll probably sound better when I do overall, but it's really hard. I'm a baby, I'm sorry. But we'll get there, we'll get there. Hammie is emitting static electricity. It's true. I keep shocking Mr. Bark when I go to pet him, and it's unfortunate. Dislike static. Getting shocked multiple times in the span of seconds is no fun. I agree. I also don't like it. Did I mess it up again? No, I don't think I did. Oh yeah, these don't go down yet. That's what my issue is. Get off of here. Oh, these are really hard to get up. There we go. There we go. There we go. I know, and it's like this time of the year, you want to wear big, comfy, fluffy stuff and wear like blankets and stuff, and then you're just kind of like, oh man. Excuse me. By God, I think we finally got it. I need one of these square pieces. There you are. My old apartment was the worst about that. Oh no. See, I have this issue where when I'm wearing my cute doggy slippers, I have a really bad habit of dragging my feet a little bit, and I only do it when I have these slippers on. And I'll accidentally shock Mr. Bark when I go to pet him, and he gets so upset, so offended. He'll look at me like I like slapped him or something. So I need a couple more of these L pieces. Guys, the new Joji album drops in 4 days, and I can't... I'm gonna be annoying. I'm gonna be so annoying. I'm so excited. So, did I mess something up again? Getting shocked by literally every time you touch something metal. Yeah! Hi, Bahamidisa! Welcome, welcome! Thank you for 9 months! I appreciate it. What did I do wrong here? What did I do wrong? I keep messing it up. How do I... Wait. I know what I did. I know what I did. Those go here now. Oh my god, I'm so done with these red pieces. Sorry, give me a second. I'm gonna lock it and try and get this into where it goes. There we go. I had to get really, really close to it. Oh yeah, the Grammys were tonight. Did anybody keep up with those? I'm gonna take a sip of my water. Actually, I'm realizing something. I think I put it the wrong way again. Hold on. I'm gonna try and not lean too closely here. So Trevor Noah trending on Twitter, but every single person shitting on him was a Nicki Minaj thing. Oh god. That's silly. That's goofy. I'm so happy though that Lady Gaga took some home. She deserves it. I love Gaga. That's mother. Let's see. Okay, let me see. She is cool. I know I've like idolized her since I was little. Let's see. Sorry, 1 second. So theoretically, these should be going here? But I don't know how to attach everything. Wait, yeah, I do. I think I know. I think I figured it out. It only took me a few minutes. I have such a hard time. The only thing about these Daiso kits is the instructions are kind of a little hard to interpret because they kind of, I'll show you, they kind of just like, I guess I can't super get a good picture for you guys, but it's a little hard to interpret sometimes. Ham is a little monster. It's true. It's true. Hi, Angry Seal. Welcome. Now it's gonna get a lot less confusing. Is that a 3-piecer? Yeah, we need 3, not 4. Maybe I should organize these. Oh no, that is 4. Okay, let's see. Oh man, and the new Noah Kahan comes out. April? Yeah, April. I was so excited. His new single is so good. It made me like tear up. I think we're making that. Are we making the head first? Yes, we are. It looks like we are. We got a couple more of these guys. Oh. Need more L's. Let's see. L piece, you. L piece, you. Hi, Seth. Hi, Kai Bestie. Seth Worsty and Kai Bestie. Ain't no way me and Kai rocked up the exact same time. We're all in sync. I shouldn't say it like that. I shouldn't say it like that. People are already giving Kai their period cramps. You're on your lunch break? What's for lunch today? You too? Wahoo! Oh, thanks for spending your break with me. It's okay. Friends sync up. My Oaksty? My Oaksty? Okay, Steve. Okay. Oh, it landed. It landed. It took me a minute. I didn't hurt myself. Okay, Steve. Where's my okay, Steve? I gotta think about that. You could be my okay, Steve. It keeps feeling like I'm saying, I put these on the wrong way. Tasty. Ugh. We'll take anyone's cramps for $3 a month. Worsty, I'm gonna be so honest. You couldn't even pay me $3 to take them for the month. They're awful. They're awful. But also, I have, do it for the love of the game. That's what makes you bestie. Oh man, because of my you don't want mine because of my chronic illness. It's really bad. It's really bad. Right now it hasn't been horrible, but it gets pretty bad.
Hamster.
Hamster. I think guys should get at least one cramp a year just to keep them in their place. They need to be humbled. Wow. Maybe you're not so worst after all. I have a Godzilla nano block I should put together at some point. But those are so hard on my fingers and I would definitely need to trim my nails for that. Magic 3 a.m. calf foot cramp. Yeah, if you get like if you stretch at the wrong way at like 3 a.m. That's the worst Charlie horse ever. Learn to respect the cramp. You've been taught well. Hi T-Salzy. Elevated to mid-Stee. Hell yeah. Yeah. Holy shit, I can't get these. I cannot get this one to cooperate. Give me Rayquaza nano block and it keeps falling down because it can't support itself. Oh no! I like this song quite a bit. I heard it on TikTok. My god, this one's pissing me off. Not trusting the dice ever again. Mr. Bart, can you make it for me? Apparently there's a really good ramen place here, but I might be paying $40 for parking today, so gonna pass. You gotta go in the afternoon when everybody's at work. Ramen sounds really good though. I want ramen, but just because it's been cold, if I'm being honest. It's been so cold. Seth, you gotta find the closest free parking and walk a bit. Oh my god, this one does not want to go into place. I might have to bring it close. Give me a second. Give me a sec here, okay? I'm gonna die. Ah! What if I try this? What if I try this? I'm gonna try this really quick. Sorry, I'm gonna go off camera for a moment. I'm still here. I'm still here, don't worry. Did she vanished? I like that. Oh god. No, I'm still here. Be nice to me. I'm still here. They're a little bit uneven, so I'm kind of worried that it's gonna give me a problem. But we might be okay now. We might have gotten it. Oh no! Pressed too hard. But I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay. I got it! I got it! Okay, and now I like how it's all of this step 1 and then all of this step 2. Lots to do. Well, I guess this one isn't too bad at all. So on the top of the head, we have more of these little slanted pieces. It's stuck forever. Now, I really hope so. If it falls apart, I'm gonna scream. So it looks like this is here. Interesting. These are so cool. And then we have the little yellow pieces. I like these. I like these a lot as I proceed to throw one. I don't know, ever since I started figure collecting, I just think that, I I'm like amazed by transparent plastic on figures and stuff. I think it looks so nice. And like, it's only, when it comes to like PVC figures, it's only gotten better lately. Like, figures in 2026 and 2025 have been so cool. But it is kind of like, I feel like I'm a little bit, there's too many coming out now. Hi Malice, welcome. There's too many and I haven't gotten any since the Alter Oberon came out, and I still haven't had a chance to unbox him because I don't have space. I gotta get more storage space for figures, more surfaces. Me and my obsession with Gunpla, yeah. It's a fun hobby, but I did read that Ami's about to they're about to raise their prices for shipping, so I think I'm gonna get booted out of the hobby at some point. Too expensive. Always say to myself, I don't need everything. I don't need everything repeatedly until I accept it. I've been trying to get better about that too. So we got 2 of these white pieces. What are your most recent cool figgy best ups, Pesty? Let me show you this Oberon figure really quick. I'll get a picture. This was one of my Holy Grail figures, and I mean, pun not intended, but it is a Fate Grand Order figure. But it finally, after like almost a year of delays, I finally got it. And it's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. I still need to watch the newest episode of Fate, Strange Fake. Where's Do You Rock? I love Oberon. I collect so much Oberon stuff. He's one of my favorite. Him, Gilgamesh, and Enkidu. And also I have a lot of Tamamo. I just really love Fate. Oh, I love this cover. I was gonna cosplay and then COVID happened. Me too! Although I might be breaking out my Enkidu cosplay for a con soon. I'm really excited. I promised my nieces I would take them to the anime con where, well, not really where I live, but close. You have the wig and crown. My COVID cosplay that didn't happen was Marie Antoinette. I had her summer outfit, her cute little white sundress. But yeah, this is the most recent figure I've acquired. I haven't acquired a lot of figures lately because the hobby is getting so expensive. Ushi Wakamaru, she's really cute. She's not my favorite, but I really do like her and appreciate her. There are so many Grand Order figures that I want. I hate being broke. I know, I'm the same way. There's a lot. I'll show you guys sometime my collection of Fate figures because it's kind of ridiculous. But I had a lot of disposable income and I lived at home for a long time, so I had the money I could kind of blow off on fun things, and now I don't, so... Hi, Best Man. Welcome. Thank you for the 50 streak, Malice. Hammie is rich. She won the Powerball. No, I'm so broke. I wish I were rich. I'd buy so many figures if I were rich. It would be dangerous. If you're real and not an AI, you'll make a peace sign. Is that peace? Peace. Mr. Barktree. Oh, Mr. Bark, you're getting spoiled today. Hamela Aggro. Here, you get the double. You guys, do you want to see my new container again? I showed chat earlier, but I got a really cute container for Mr. Barktrees. It was in the dollar section of Target. I thought he was worth it. They had red ones and then they had pink ones. And I was like, oh, of course, I get to choose. Less than 3 container. Yeah! If Hammie won the lottery, Hammie wouldn't tell anyone, but there would be signs. Like a compound full of anime figures. Honestly, if I won the lottery, the first thing I would buy is I would buy more storage for figures. I would buy more storage so I could get more figures later. Because right now I'm being kind of stingy on my figure collection, like getting any more stuff. Francesca from Strange Fake, I love her. I love her. I think she's so cunty. Are you as down horrendous as me? Probably. But the thing about Strange Fake though is that I'm like watching and staring because I'm ready for Gilkidu, because that's like one of my like OTP of OTPs. Welcome to the Hamela Hampter figure gallery. If it sucks too because I can't really go and just take pictures because I'll get my reflection in it, so I have to be careful. Hi, Hammie. How's the building? Hi, Lucid. Welcome. Building is going good. I only got stuck a couple of times so far, but we're doing pretty good. How are you? Can I do this? Yeah, this is how it goes. Goldie with clay. Yes, good. You have good taste. I'm kind of one of those people where it's like I try not to be an asshole about shipping, but if you want to ship any Gil with anyone else around me, don't talk to me. I was shipping that with the Epic of Gilgamesh in high school. Like, don't talk to me. I don't care. Is it gay if it's clay? It's a little fruity. It's a little fruity. Got off work and now here? Well, I'm happy to have you. I hope you had a good day at work, a good shift. I hope you can get some good unwind time. I feel like everyone gets to have one OTP they can get violent and defensive over. I think I have two, if we're being so real, but one of them I don't get into fights on the internet over anymore. There was a time in my life where I kind of would be kind of like rude about, but you could have two as a treat, thank you. But then I'm just kind of like, you know what? Sometimes I don't really want to get into fights over fiction over the internet, because like everybody's gonna like the stuff they like, but if I'm asked about it, I will tell you. And if you give me a hard time about it, I will kill you. We know which OTP is that Hammie goes to war with. No, I wish you didn't. I wish you didn't. Bye, Kai. Have a good shift, bestie. I don't know. I think it's because one of my OTPs people get really rude about, and I don't like that. And I pretty much, if I get that kind of energy, you get it back. I don't care. Ugh! Look at his head. He's so cute. I like my little dragon so far. I'm so sniffly. We're on to step 3. We're step 3 out of 11. We're not even like halfway there yet. We're cooked, chat. What if we only get through 1? I'm gonna be so embarrassed. Let's see. Okay, where do I start here? Oh, we're getting this thing again. Hammie, did you get their secret rendezvous card? I did. I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. Did I? Yeah, someone ordered it for me. I'm pretty sure I have it. Super Manager might know. I'm pretty sure I have it, though. Sorry, I had the urge to drink so much water all of a sudden. Where does this go? I'm so confused. What the hell did I do? Makes sense for him to have it. Yeah, it was really expensive for a minute, and then I waited for it to go down. The masculine urge to literally just hydrate yourself. I know, I'm such a Chad. I'm such a Chad. Look at me. What the fuck is this? Have I built this yet? Surely I haven't built it yet. I don't think I've built it. wait, okay, wait. I see what I missed. No, I didn't. Oh, wait, I don't have that one? Shit. I thought someone ordered it for me. I thought Rezi ordered it for me. Maybe I need to get it. How much is it now? Okay, I get it. Did I think it's cheaper? It wasn't at first because one of them comes with the I think it's one of them comes with the collector or the deck, and then that one was like pretty easy to come across for a while. But then the other ones were not. But it could have settled out by now. It's been a while. It's been like half a year. You got all 4? I want all 4. I deserve all 4. We'll get there eventually. I also need to get I really want the Penny Parker card because I have such a soft spot for the obvious reason. And the obvious reason is that Gerard Way created Penny Parker. And I have the original comic because I worked at a comic book store when it came out, the Into the Spider-Verse issue that he made that has all the Evangelion references in it. And it's hilarious. But I have such a soft spot for Penny Parker. Everyone does, but like that's Gerard's child. Penny card art slaps as well. It does. The spider one does. Hi, Anakin. Sorry about that. I had that moment where I said hi in my head and I didn't say it out loud, I think. So hello, I hope you're doing well. Anyone else still bombarded in ice? Still an ice skating rink out there. I don't have ice anymore, thank goodness. No ice, but I do still have a lot of snow on the ground. And it's been a pain in the ass because tomorrow is trash day. So had to get the trash cans out and take all my recycling out finally. Had a pretty big snowfall, especially for North Carolina, but it didn't ice up. That's good. Snow is fun when it doesn't ice over. Guys, this is the new Noah Kahan song. I love him. This song makes me cry. I'm not gonna cry though. Has it melted for the past week? Still easily 6 inches of ice? I'm so sorry to hear that. Because I believe you. It hasn't. Thankfully, I don't have ice anymore. I'm not gonna complain about not having ice anymore, but it is still really freaking cold and it's really hard for my, it's really hard on my legs, so I empathize. That's, Damn, this Wi-Fi sucks. They nearly made me vanish. They shouldn't do that. That's my worstie. Stop it. Hold on, I gotta look at this a little closer. I need 2 L shapes here. And 2 squares. But actual squares, not with a joint. I'm embarrassed you guys know how I get about ships. I've tried to get better. I've tried to improve as a person. Oh, where are you? Maybe I gotta take all the jointed ones out and put them to the side. I'm gonna do that. We support Hammie ships? Yeah, it's very sweet of you. It's very sweet of you. Where the hell are you? There it is. There's one. No, it's a joint. Does this one have a joint? Oh my god, I'm stupid. It does. So we need one of these and then one of you. I'm so sniffly. I need this. I need it. I need it to get warmer. Not only do I want it to get warmer because it'll make my legs feel better, but I want to get back up. Me and Mr. Bark need to get back on our 2-mile-a-day walks. I haven't been able to do them since the summer, and I think I could finally get back to them. Some snow. I would love to. I would love to. Give me the snog. I wish you could. Everyone needs to be insane about something for the mental. It's true. It is true. You're right. If we don't get stupid about something, then like, I don't know. Times are hard, chat. Times are hard right now. I keep looking at the wrong one. I'm gonna have to fold this. I'm having a terrible ADHD day. It's really funny for you guys though, I bet. Need to find something that'll go to war for? You know, the journey is just as important as the destination. That's why we should all pick fights on the internet over ships. You are so right. You're so right. I think honestly, like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When it comes to Life is Strange, I'm an Amber Pricer shipper, but I will go to war for Pricefield too. I will go to war for Max and Chloe as much as I will Chloe and Rachel. But it's like you've got the other alternatives is people like to genuinely ship Max with Warren, and I want to throw up when people do that. Like, that's my little petty, that's my little petty moment. Lucid is here. BRB gonna tell a Nozo Otaku hater to die. Oh my god. I can't encourage that, but I think you should do amazing things, and I know you will. Can't believe Piss Me and said Lemur. Oh, you're picking fights. You're picking fights. I can't fight for you. Let's see, where the hell do you go? Oh my god, I don't want to do this part. You guys are silly. That one was worth a deletion. No, I trust you. You're my trusted mod, and I trust you. And sometimes, I'm gonna be honest, I like it when my mods make decisions so I don't have to. Is that bad? Is that bad? I should be like that. I should be like that head honcho, but I'm so, you know. Sometimes I just want to turn my brain off and make it really smooth and polish it and stuff. When is somebody gonna redeem a karaoke stream where I get to do dad rock? Mods are supposed to make decisions so the streamer doesn't have to worry about it. Aww. So kind. But absolutely gets paid by the hour. I've paid a lot of my mods in Puyo keychains so far, at least. I need to hit up Lucid and Rodin and get them some keychains. If they want them. Oh, there we go. It's like this, isn't it? Oh my god. Didn't mean the mods, but sure, why not? Oh, wait! Oh, you're talking about— oh, I missed your other message. That's what happens. There's construction work happening out of the window, and I picked one guy to watch for the last 20 minutes, and he's barely moved. Want to hear me soundbite by the hour? True. Fuck, how do— hold on. I'm gonna have to make this easier for myself somehow. My ADHD is so fucking bad today, chat. Oh my god. Hi, Kimbe! My cat is making biscuits with all 4 paws. Oh, that's adorable. Praying for the Hammie voice pack. I know, I gotta get my microphone fixed though. You guys you deserve content. Like good content, not like shitty, sounds like I did it in my backyard. Maybe I could use that headset I used for my unboxing stream. I don't know, I'm gonna think about it. Guys, send strength. I've been awake since 1 a.m. and now it's 1 p.m. and I need to stay awake until 10 p.m. Whoa! Oh my god. Why? Do you need me to fight your boss or something? Wait, hold on. Holy shit, okay. Why do you guys watch me? I'm so dumb. Maybe it's just because I haven't done this in a while, that's why. What's your boss's Twitch? I'll ban him from Hammie stream. Yeah, do it. Ask the question and answer it in the same sentence. Really? I did? Sometimes I do that. Who is buying all the LaCroix lime on Amazon? What the hell? I hope you find them and pick a fight with them. I'm my boss. Goodbye, guys. Farewell, Seth. Farewell. Be kind to yourself, Worsty. I've never had the lime LaCroix. I've never had it. Okay, you go here. They made a mojito flavor. Do you recommend it? Do you recommend the mojito flavor? I do like a mojito. Oh, it tastes like shaving cream. Get some Dr. Pepper. I have some. Thank you. I have some. I splurged and got some before the snowstorm. Because I wanted, like, if I wanted Dr. Pepper, I think I kind of deserved it. Because then I wouldn't feel like I wouldn't sulk about it when I was stuck inside, you know? And it's lasted me past that. No, the mojito bubbly straight up tastes like laundry detergent. Oh god. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry you had to drink that. Oh, this song's sick. I like this song. My nose is so drippy. Thought it'd been like a Hamela flavored mojito. We'll have to see what happens at Off-Guy this year. Good, because last time I bought a Dr. Pepper for you was like 31 for a 12-pack. I know, I still feel bad about that. Why was shipping was expensive. Next time I'm just gonna put it, if I put Dr. Pepper on my throne again, I'm just gonna put what it costs to get a 12-pack from my local store. Because why did it, that's so messed up. It's really messed up. And then we need 2 of these guys. 2 more of you. Are redeems off limits tonight? No, redeems are fine. If something's missing though, let me know. I think I may have turned something off the other day. What song is it? It is Tell Me You're Sorry by Real Friends. At the upper left-hand side of the screen, I do have a little widget that'll tell you what we're listening to. Can we backseat? Yeah. If you tell me to get good, I will end stream though. So don't worry, I'm dumb. No, you're good. It kind of blends in right now with the color. Tamamo, you got it. Come right up. I need Kleenex. I need Kleenex. My life is in shambles. Oh yeah, you guys can fish. Let's put her on my head today. Yeah, you put that one piece over there on the other piece next to it, then put those pieces on the other conjoining pieces. Maybe the one piece was the friends we made along the way. No, stop it. Don't remember the band name, but I feel like I've heard this song before. Real Friends. They're really awesome. I think you should listen to them if you don't already. I really like them. I want to fish. Can I fish too? Let's see. Okay. Alright, we're gonna put that one piece. We're gonna put that one piece on. Hold on. I gotta look at this really close. Let's see. So I think you go here. And then you go here. Ah, yeah, some 41. Sorry, this one's being kind of stubborn now. Man, I'm sad I didn't get to see them live last year. Cause I don't, they did their last tour last year, didn't they? They didn't come anywhere near me. It really is banger album. Advice to cat owners: denim and flannel, less likely to be maimed when they bring out the claws. That's good. We got it. We got it. We got this piece. You caught Kissy! Aww. Yeah, you can catch Kissy in this. You can catch every Hammie that has a Puyo so far. I have it in the thingy. I think I do anyway. Okay, let's see. So we got one of you. Oh, you got Super Manager. Good job. Not gonna lie, it makes me happy when you guys get excited about fishing. I always worry that, like, at some point I'll outgrow being able to have fishing on all the time, but I hope not. I hope not, anyway. Plus, it's also, I also am just like, oh, you guys are cute. I'm having fun. And we need a couple of the T piece, or the L pieces. There we go. I mean, if we can get Puyos, it's great. I now have Super Manager Puyo. You do. My Puyo Ham is in there, but he doesn't show up often because he's too busy getting money getting paid. I think I did make him rare. You gotta have that, you gotta stack that paper. He's either rare or, gives you more money. I can't remember, he's one of those things though. Can we have a singing Puyo like that singing bass? Maybe. I don't know how to make like a voice clip. It'd be my voice probably. I don't know if I can put a sound effect. I should look into it though. That'd be really funny. There is a singing bass in here though. Pineapple. Pen, pineapple, apple, pen. Oh, there we go. That one was really difficult to fit in. What's your problem? And then we need more of these guys. Whatever happened to the pen, pineapple, apple, pen guy? Does he still do stuff? When I do MP3, you can record it on OBS and just use the record function. Then if you rename the ending file to MP3, it'll just convert it to audio. Ooh, okay. Thank you for the tip. I also have Audacity, which I use once in a blue moon, but not super often. At least not lately. The audacity of this ham. The duality of ham. We got it. We got it. That looks pretty good. 5 minutes until class starts, so gotta go. Bye. Bye, Butt Worsty! Have a good class! Let's see. Okay, we need another one of these. Just listen in class. That's what I used to do. Record it. Record it. I have a power to not sleep. Godspeed, you got this. Don't get sleepy. We'll just both persevere. So we got you. We got another one. We're gonna make another one like this one a little bit. Oh no. Man, I was thinking how badly I missed the hush sound. Maybe I'll put some hush sound into this playlist. I also have a class training later and it's 4 hours straight. I'm sending you my strength. That sounds terrible. Oh, 4 hours? 4 hours? Hammie, if you do a heart sign, I'll do anything you want. Do you want, like, this heart? Or do you like the little, this heart? Either way, I did both. You know where my throne is. And you know how I like a little treat. You're welcome, Karma. Anytime. Let's see. We're almost there. We're almost there. This is piece 6. I'm gonna put it behind this one because I'm getting nervous. What if I don't? What if I don't? Oh no, my shield. Oh wait, hold on. There. Let's not show it spoil. I made the mistake today. This one we need you. And it's the same as the last one. Oh, I guess it's just gonna play hush sound. I miss this band so much, chat. They kind of got overshadowed by Panic, which is like, I guess I understand it, but it still makes me sad. I had many of their songs as my Tumblr profile music back in the day. Oh, I think these are all, yeah, these are all parts of the tail that are tapering off. Very nice. And then we need, yeah, one of you. I feel like I'm running out of these. And now we're doing this one. We're getting there. We're getting so close. We're getting so close. We're almost there. We need 2 of you. 4 of you, actually. Chai, it's gonna be a long summer. I knew I wasn't gonna get Harry Styles tickets, and I really kind of wanted to, if I'm being so real. But at the same time, if Joe Kiri, if he goes on tour this summer, I'm so fucked. I'm so fucked. And then also, if Joji goes on tour, I'm like double fucked. That's not fair. That's not fair. I need one of you. One of you. So... It happens. Yeah, it really do happen. Everything happens so much. Oh, this is such a good song too. We need another... I do too. I love this song. I love the Killers. Even if they did have beef with Fall Out Boy, I'll forgive them because I really like them. Alright, whoa, we're already almost done. They have beef with Fall Out Boy. I can't remember the entire context. I bet Kissy does. But I'm pretty sure it was because the Killers don't necessarily label themselves as emo, and then it kind of blew up into a big thing. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Whoa! Thank you! Wasn't it like manufactured? I'm not totally sure. Wait, hold on. I didn't really get to see it. Was it the coloring book? Was it the coloring book? Yay! Thank you, Karma! I'll color on stream. I'll color on stream sometime now. I'm so excited. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Where are your boys tonight? But I'm too lazy to look. That's okay. You don't have to go look. I have to fix this really quick though, unfortunately. Oh my god, this is gonna be a disaster. Oh god. That's okay, that's okay. I'm gonna take it apart a little bit closer to my peripheral, so give me a second here. Put a picture of it in the Discord. Wait, preview picture on Twitch is... Stream preview picture on Twitch is the heart hand. Put a picture of it in the Discord. Oh, thank you, Lucid. No, thank you for doing the heart, of course. Of course. Okay, so we need to fix this. I think it's this way around. Okay. This is gonna be such a hassle. I can see it already. Oh, I see what happened now. I see what happened now. So, you. Oh no, I didn't have to do that. Ah! That's okay. We will rebuild, chat. I believe in me. Ooh, you got a Puyo? Which one? You got the blue Puyo. Speaking of, did I miss any Puyos? I don't think I did, so we're good. We're good. We're solid. Believe in the you that believes in me. Believe in you. Thank you. I will do my best. I will do my best. Sweet melody. Do the impossible, see the invisible. Roll, roll, fight the power. Oh god. Your favorite album cover? Tell me, tell me. Fish. I want a fish. I'll fish in a second.
Hamster.
I love this song. Hamster. Oh, you got a black Puyo. That one's Goji's favorite. Running by Glass Beach, banger song and banger album cover. You should share it in the music channel in the Discord. Don't pull up the cover on stream though. Noted. Let's see, okay, can we fix this? Certainly we can fix this. I think I just need to rebuild this piece from the ground up. Wait, no, I think I might have gotten it. I think I may have gotten it. I'll post it, but humbly request a mod reviews it. You can also spoiler tag. You can spoiler tag if you are worried. I'm telling you right now, I'll prove it. You just spoiler tag it, okay? And just say, questionable album cover, perhaps. True. Worst case, there's another banger of a song of theirs. I'll swap. Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I got you. Can't help it. Whoa, this is really cool now that I got it finished. There's his head. And then this goes right under here, I believe, yes. Oh, you're gonna be stubborn, I can tell. I think when they try to get super endeavorous with the pieces, with the models, I think it does get a little bit like, you can tell they came from a dollar store, but damn, they're so cheap and so fun. Like there's 8 of them, right? There's 8 of them, and that's like that's $16 of fun. Let's see. Okay, so we got this, and now we got, I think it's you? Yeah, it's you. Posted? Cool, I'll check it out after I'm done. Thank you for sharing. I always love looking at new music. I get so excited. Even if I don't always say something, I'll always check it out, you know? There's one. So now we got, okay. What is this piece? We didn't make that. For some reason I thought this was Gaga, and I got startled. Did I not? No, I guess I didn't. That's okay. This will be so easy to make really fast. So we got 2 of these white pieces. Every time music is on in Hamela Hampter stream, I just yoink songs to add to my playlist. I'm so excited. I'm glad you guys like my music, because I need to figure out how to do it so you guys can make requests, but I also don't want to like set it up so people put stupid songs all the time. Like, I trust your guys' music, but I know trolls can come in, and I don't wanna make it too risky, you know. But yeah, no, I try to at least put good music on here and not some music that I'd be like, oh man, no one will fuck with this. Time to request 1 hour brain rot song. I know, or like lately I've been listening to a lot of pink noise to get to sleep, so my Spotify, after I adjusted some settings, it doesn't, but for a while it was starting to put like white, brown, and pink noise into my like most played, and I was like, Chicken Attack? What's Chicken Attack? Tell me. That sounds like fun. We put good music here, except for that one time, but also even that time was arguably good. I had so much fun. I was like laughing so hard I was crying that one time. You need to watch Chicken Attack? Will someone write that down for me? In the server, say, Hammie, watch Chicken Attack. I don't care if it's in the TV channel or if it's in general. You have my permission. You got me. Thank you. Yeah, I'm thinking about that Words on Stream now, where we had like the weirdest music. That was so funny, the Take Me On Minecraft. That's literally so funny. Oh, these One Piece pieces are kicking my ass. But hear me, all of it is kicking your ass. Yeah. Now, where do you go? It's over here, isn't it? I want to see Weezer in concert again. Oh, fuck. Did anyone else see that go flying? Thankfully, it landed into my legs, but... That piece got yeeted. That was pretty funny. I can't even be mad. It was kind of funny. I like him. He kind of... He looks like a... almost like a manatee a little bit. Actually, I'll wait until the end to move all of these. So we got this one with this one, yeah. Oh, fuck. That's okay, I'll put that back. Is that a platypus? It kind of looks like it. He's got like the T-Rex arms a little bit though. Here, now we'll put this back. You know what? These are really fragile, so I'm gonna just leave them off until the end. So from here, it's this piece, right? Yeah, it's this piece. I need to move this one piece. Oh god. That's fine. That's fine. Same brain cell. Add something brown for it to be Perry the Platypus. Yeah! That sounds really cute, actually. Oh no, I added the wrong one. Be strong, ad gang. Wait, what the hell are you? We missed something, didn't we? Hold on. Let's see. 1, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put you right here. So we need to figure out. I'm putting that one back on because it's pissing me off. Robert. So okay, putting you here, snapping you into place, and then I have to make whatever the hell that was. So this, and then I see. This is what this looks like. Guys, I love Weezer. Oh, I'm so sniffly. Ooh, ew, I look just like Buddy Holly. Alright, now we fix this. Welcome back, Ad Gang. I think I have the capacity for one more tonight. We've only been going for like an hour and 45 minutes. That's really funny, actually. We understand when Hammie goes, we won't be long today. It means 3-hour stream at least. True. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but you're right. I do have a habit of doing that. Oh yeah, it is Heather's song. It's kind of a sad song, so I don't want to say it's about Heather, but it is a Heather song. There we go, there we go. Okay, so right in the middle I need 4 of these little guys. There is a Pop Goes Punk cover of I wanna make ooh ee ooh ah ah that song by Asking Alexandria, and I've kind of been listening to it lately because but I have a really hard time. It's really catchy, but I always have a hard time not being like I wanna make ooh ee ah ah. Oh, I'm afraid I'll never outgrow that. And then I keep thinking about it when I see the ooh, ooh. And I'm like, that's not right. That's not right. This is actually kind of sick. I wanna make ooh ee ee ah ah. How is there already a Mr. Barkhair in this? Oh, these are also my Meow Meows, if I'm being real. The Rex. This is kind of fun. The Witch Doctor song. Oh, I know what song you're talking about. Spinning Hammie again. I love my Spinning Hammie still. If you guys want to see, this is what he looks like. He's pretty fun. I like that he has a stand. It works really well. He's done. He's complete. So I'm going to put the rest of them back in the bag, and then we'll make another one. He has a stand like JoJo? Yeah, exactly. I guess I should roll the dice again, right? Ting, ting, walla walla bing bang. I remember that song. Part 7? Oh, for JoJo's. I haven't seen JoJo's yet. Don't kill me, Chad, okay? Don't kill me. There we go. I keep meaning to get into it, but I wouldn't get into it when I was, I wouldn't get into it when it was, like, at its height of popularity, because I'm annoying like that. Like, I get tired of hearing about stuff, so I'm like, I'll get into it after everyone's done, and I'll forget all the spoilers I've seen and etc. Hope the distribution isn't fucked again. I've still yet to see part 6. See, that sucks. I hope it isn't fucked either. Hammie really is a hipster. I'm not gonna deny the allegations. I wish I weren't, but it's true. It's just that, like, when something, I don't have the time to get into something immediately, it's so easy to get spoiled, so I have a habit of just waiting until I like forget everything happened, and then I'll get into it and I'll be like, oh yeah, I really love this. And I'll be a little late, but you know, better late than never. Oh no, not again. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna stop fucking with this. Okay, I said I'd stop messing with it. Let's pick one more to do tonight. Can't be spoils if we literally forgot everything. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So we got 7. That one's Ifrit. That one's the Ifrit one. And he looks exactly like his little Final Fantasy VII counterpart. The one I got last time is, we did 6. So it was the Azure Dragon. We did number 6. So that would be Final Fantasy VI. Legally distinct. RPG monster. I like him because he kind of looks like a spider. Did you guys happen to see the like tweet that was talking about how one of the guys from 21 Pilots is an awful driver? Because I read it and it made me laugh because he's like, I hate this guy because he can't drive, he can't park, but I can't be too much of a hater because my daughter was with me and we ran into him in our hometown and he was really nice and gave her an autograph, but I fucking hate how he drives. And I'm like, how do you run into a complete stranger enough that you recognize that he's like a celebrity in your town, but you also realize that this same person fucking sucks at driving? It's so funny. There were tears in my eyes. I've been trying and failing to catch a particular fish in 14 for the last 25 minutes. Someone please come put me out of my misery. Absolutely not. You're gonna get that fish and you're gonna tell it who's boss. It's like the most human thing. I know, I think that's what makes it so endearing. Because it's like you see a celebrity and it's like, oh, they're in a whole different world than me. And yes, they're in a little bit different of a world than you, but they still suck at parallel parking. They might be dog shit at parking in general. They might be a really crappy driver. At the end, they're kind of like you. You chose the fish life. You got a Moorish idol. I want to fish. I want to fish while I have a second. I don't think this one's gonna be too difficult. It doesn't look like it has as many pieces as the dragon, and it doesn't have as many joints, hopefully. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, it has a shit ton of joints. We're so fucked. Oh, new perspective. I forgot this was on the soundtrack for Jennifer's Body. This one has 10 steps instead of 11 though, so we're Gucci. You got Tisa Z, good job. From a new perspective. Jennifer's Body was a really good movie. I want to watch it again. Can we watch it in the Discord at some point? I think that would be really fun, actually. I'm just gonna get all the pieces out ahead of time. I think that's a good idea. The pieces per step, anyway. We love toxic Yuri. Oh, I got the Tisozi Puyo? Oh, hell yeah. I'm awesome. From a new perspective. No, you're the best. I don't think I'm the best. You're the best. Oh, I love these. See, these also have the little transparent plastic. Wahoo! So I need 2 of these and 4 of these. Proud of you. I am gonna move this trash over here for now. Okay, so we need one of these to start out, I think. Let me double check. Yeah, we need one of these. What a weird angle. See, look at this. It's a weird ass angle. I don't know if you can see it very well. Looking at my Steam library as if I'm gonna play something. You could play your game you won the other day. You should play whatever you want though. Hold on, I want more. So I think it's like this. I know this hurts. It was meant to. It's meant to. Oh man. Was playing a bit and it's super neat. Cheaper than buying real Gunpla, that's for sure. Yeah, it is, for sure. I know the devs put a lot of passion into it too, so I have a soft spot. I think I understand how this goes. I think I did this right. To obsess over living and only obsess over you. This was kind of fun. Heard that there's Hobby Lobby Gunpla. There's a Hobby Lobby near my sororitas won't look at me judgmentally. You know, I'm not gonna tell people where to shop ever. Especially when like hobby stores seem to be kind of dying out a little bit. I won't judge you. It's not my place to. Although, I wonder if the coupons, because I know Hobby Lobby also kind of like puts out a lot of coupons. I wonder if any of them work on the Gunpla. You should do a Gunpla stream, Heather. That'd be really fun. Oh, 7 streams straight. Good job, Ingressio. I'm proud of you. And the response is a good one. Oh man, this one's kind of actually complicated. I'm scared, chat. I'm so scared. Buddy. Thank you. I'm crashing out. I'm crashing out a little. I don't know. Something about model kit streams is really fun. I hope mine are fun, even though I'm really bad at everything. I think this is an arm. I'm gonna have to make another one of these, aren't I? So this one's here. Oh, I was supposed to get more of these out. I did not do that. Oh no. Let's hope I don't break a nail this stream. What if I make us listen to the hush sound the rest of the stream, because it's very tempting. The problem with some gunplays is that they take a bajillion years depending on the pace, so streams might be a bit optimal. Yeah, I could definitely see that. But if you get kind of an easy, like not a too hard one, it could be a fun stream. I know I had fun when I did mine. And it wasn't too difficult once I kind of got it figured out, at least. Like, I think at the end of the day, you probably know what you can accomplish and how fast. So reach for the stars. One piece per stream is also possible. Just the torso and then next time the legs. This is true. You could take a nice healthy break. Where you be safe through the guarded gates of shelter, magnolias. Now I just want to watch. Then I just die in bed. That's the spirit! I think this is like this. My eyes hurt after staring at Gunpla for a while. You gotta get some nice eye drops. In fact, I think I need to use mine right now. Do you guys mind if I use my eye drops? Well, the real life construction. Yeah! Oh god. I think I broke the case for this at some point because it does not open the way it should. Oh my god, this song. Oh man. I got eye drop recommendations from Prupo, and they're really nice, but they do kind of feel a little intense at first. If it's broken but still works, the case is just like me for real. Oh, true, true. Hold on, I'm putting some sods. There we go. There we go. Okay, back to work. Actually, let me take a sip of my water first. Okay. We got this. We can so do this tonight. Okay, I think this looks like it. Yeah, this looks like it. Should. Fingers crossed. And then now we're gonna make the hands. Okay, okay, okay. So we need some of these gray pieces. We need 2 of these. Yeah, 2 of these. We need 6 of those. Oh wait, no, not these. Thank you for the shrimp check. And then once I finish all my RPG monsters, I have Hamtaro, I have Hamtaro nano blocks I gotta put together. I'm so excited. I got a really sick discount when I bought them because the box was damaged, so they were like 50% off. I was so excited because I was like, I had them on my throne at one point, but then I was like, this is super, I found this sale. I'm gonna get it. And then I did, and then I haven't put them yet. Ooh, the new trash boat. Need 2 of you. Lumpus. Isn't that the Discord monster? We need 2 of you. One Piece does sound really fun. I cannot judge you. Where is this? Hold on, I gotta look closely. Found one, finally. Where's the other one now? Right here. Those ones are hard to find. Okay, okay. It's his thumb. Or it will be. Oops, I guess I should have put my content warning up. Oh well. I say the F-bomb. We'll be good. You guys know what to expect. Oh wait, we forgot a couple of these. There we go. Hampter cusses. You won't believe it. Never will. Always have. So much good music coming out lately, chat. Oh. I feel really spoiled this year. I'm not gonna lie. I feel really spoiled. I forgot you. You gotta go here too. Oh, fuck. I still need to do something about that swear jar. I wonder if I could, like, commission an animation or something. Could be kind of fun. Fill it like a yippee meter. No, no, don't get stuck there. You don't go there. Stop it. Very good. I kind of like this. How this hand looks. Oh, isn't the 1975 also doing more music soon? Maddie Healy's kind of a douche, but who is? There's not a lot of people in the music industry that aren't. I can do this one by memory, which I can't say about anything with the Azure Dragon. Mm-mm. But I hate it. Oh, fuck. Got it wrong. Uh-oh, where did it go? There it went. We did it. Wait, did we? Did I forget something? I don't think so. We're good. I think we're good! I didn't fuck anything up. Yeah, I did. I fucked something up. Ugh. Hold on. I don't want to use my teeth on this, but we might be using our teeth on it. Nope. There we go. It looks kind of cool though. I think this is gonna go here at some point, but I'm gonna wait and see, I guess, before I actually snap them into place. So we're on 3. Let's get the pieces out first. Only 2 of you. There we go. Is that everything? I think it is. Then you go here? Yeah, you go here. Very nice. These are really satisfying. These are so satisfying. This looks right. And then another one? Yeah, another one. I feel kind of bad for VOD gang sometimes, so everybody, every Hammie say hi to VOD gang, if you think about it. Let's see. Because they don't get to hear the music. The pieces in a pie looks like Halloween candy. It kind of does. What's up, VOD gang? Sorry you're not as cool. Be nice to VOD gang. They're also cool. I would say VOD gang is pretty rad. Not as. Are you gonna pat yourself on the back now? Hi, VOD gang. Almost aggroed you, but fine, I'll be nice. You don't want to be mean to me, little old me. Whoops, I put this on wrong. You don't have to aggro me because these things are already aggroing me. Oh, Mr. Bark, are you getting cozy comfy on the blanket I got from Chad? Muhammad isn't got that one. I'm talking to VOD gang. Oh, talking to VOD gang. Okay, okay, I understand. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Oh, Mr. Bark, do you want me to turn that on? I could turn that on for you. Hold on. I don't want to accidentally get my, flesh suit in there, so give me a sec. Oh, it is already on. Okay, you're good, you're good. Elmer's Glueson from that one commercial? I don't know what commercial. Oh, he's so warm and comfy. It's okay, you don't gotta get up, buddy. I don't think I've seen that one. Elmer's Glue commercial. Let's do these guys now. Oh, we're already on step 4? Oh man, I'm awesome. We already have 2 of these out. Don't mind if I do. Honestly, it's better this way. I'll trust you. I'll trust you. Yeah, this was a song I had on my Tumblr. Wait, there's small ones and then there's big ones? What the hell? What the fish? You'll be happier? Is it kind of like the Incest Folgers commercial? Yeah, I this song on my Tumblr, and I won't name names, but there's a guy in the Umineko fandom that really, really liked me, and he asked me what song this was, and I gave it to him, and like he really, really had a crush on me. He had a big crush on me, and then he got a girlfriend, and I think he married her. But then she made him unadd me, even though I had turned him down previously. I had turned him down. But his like wife, situationship, fiance, girlfriend, it was crazy. It was crazy. But then he left me on Steam for a while, and I was like, I feel really awkward unadding him, but that's awkward. Awkward situation all around. You're my present. You're my present this year. Incredible. So every time I like hear this song, I think of that guy, and I'm like, oh man, guys, Hamster's got game. I don't know about that, but I don't know. I'm so socially awkward. I don't know how anyone could like me like that. We Folgers says posting in here. We are. We're talking about it. Were you in any Discord group chats? Because it's the most awkward online I should leave this situation ever created. Honestly, this was back in Skype days. Like, we used Skype. These are really cute. Look at this Pete's. I honestly, like, I know people are sad that Skype isn't around anymore, but Skype is probably the messenger I used the least. The old magics. I remember Skype abesystem.png. I don't know if I remember that. I bet I would if I saw it, but like most of my memories are like I used the hell out of AIM, and I used the hell out of MSN Messenger, and then I had this extension that would combine all of them, and I had like everything you could have. And then I had a Skype, but I kind of didn't really use Skype. Skype was like popular in a period of time where I was just texting people. Exactly. I was either doing that or I was doing Tumblr or like Tumblr DMs, you know? Or I was out touching grass because it was high school. I think it's this now? Yeah, we're on step 5, so I need to build whatever the hell this is. Although, I don't miss any messenger system that died. The next one's always just better. Although, yeah, I know. I mean, I still really miss MSN Messenger. I know it's completely nostalgia because there's so much more you can do now. Like, I like Discord. I think it has its stupid moments. Like, there are updates every once in a while with Discord where I'm just like, okay, why did anyone ask you for this? Did anyone want this? Don't piss me off. But, I mean, Discord pretty much does it all, I guess. I do still kind of miss the days of forums, though, if I'm being honest. I miss not being, like, available 24/7. Because now, like, people will message you and then be like, I want an answer now. I know you're online, Hamela. And then I'll be like, I'm out touching grass. I don't really check my phone when I'm out touching grass unless I'm, like, idle, you know? Although it's weird because thinking about it, Skype is, like, responsible for one of my major life events, but I never, like, think about that. Yeah. I don't know, I just never really used it a whole lot. I used it some, but I feel like Skype didn't really have that much customization, or maybe I'm just stupid and can't remember it. I gotta stop saying that. Yeah, forums are better for a lot of things. I just think it's nice to, like, you know, reply when you reply. The death of forums has had a depressing domino effect on the rest of the internet. Yeah, because it's like, forums were really cool because you would have these little, like, tiny niche communities. And yeah, you would still get trolls from time to time, but like you would have a space for you and your people, you know? If you were passionate enough to join a forum, then oh yeah, I used Line too. I loved Line. I don't use it anymore because it started acting kind of weird on my phone. But I bought so many stickers. I have so much money invested in Line. But yeah, no, like forums were just kind of fun, but like eventually the internet just became like every main social media platform, and then like forget the rest. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad sometimes. I know this is the most like millennial opinion you will ever hear, But, like, I don't know. The internet used to be fun to explore, and now you can't really, like, you can't really do that. I had a serious sticker problem when I used Line, yeah. Yeah, you get me, you get me. I had friends in Japan, like, I was begging. There was like, can you please send me these Bakemonogatari stickers? I'm begging you. I need that Senju Gahara, and I need her now. Did give me a lifelong love of farting seals and pigs in diapers. That's really funny. I have, there's this sticker that I still have in, like, one of my Discord servers, and it's a seal, like, trembling on a toilet, and it's really funny. Extremely millennial voice. I watched this great video essay about how the internet used to feel like a place. Yeah, it just, like, I miss it. I miss it so much. Forums used to be a huge information repository for things. Now it's all locked up behind closed Discord servers that can implode entirely just because one person had a bad day. Exactly! Exactly! Like, yeah, no, totally. Oh, man. Sorry, I'm, like, thinking about it. I'm like, that's so... You're so right. You're so right! Fallout Boy, hey. The flagpole. We will reach you. Boys are out of assholes. Where is the other one of this? There it is. I need two of you. My pretties. Ooh, and we're using the blue ones. Very nice. People never understand the hype of pulling out your iPod and slapping that into a speaker. Yeah, or like passing the aux cable in the car when you go out driving with your friends. Yeah. And how everybody would fight for their turn. And then some, like, back in the day, we went driving for fun. And now I'm kind of like, I don't want to engage with another driver for the rest of my life while I'm driving on the way to Target. Even like the most poorly managed forum was infinitely easier to search and find what you were looking for than any Discord server. Exactly! Exactly! Oh, I miss it. I miss it. Like, I know that there's still some forums that exist. Like, you can bring your own forum, but, like, people just don't flock to them the way they used to. And, like, Gaia Online is still a place, and I think that's really neat. But, like, I go to Gaia Online, and everyone I know has moved on from it, you know? No one's going to Gaia Online unless, like, they have, like, a purpose there, you know? Like, they have these little micro communities within Gaia Online, but, like, everyone's kind of like, Gaia Online, are you talking about the website that has really bad, like, economy and, like, blew up and, like, isn't as good as it used to be? And it's, like, in a way, it's completely the same as it always been, but everybody moved on from it, you know? Should we all go back to Gaia Online? Maybe. Maybe we should. Me pulling out a CD Walkman from my stretched out hoodie pocket. Yes! I would steal Hammie Papa's, Walkman, even though I wasn't supposed to take it to school with me, just so I could listen to MCR's 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge on the bus. And I would be like, in my head, I'd have my music videos, you know. I think the same thing for, like, Second Life. I doubt they're getting in many new users. Yeah, exactly. And then, like, there's the new Club Penguin with the really unfortunate URL name. New CP or something. It's just like, no, you can't name your website that. Not right now, at least. You can't do that. It's bad. I wanna touch. Let's see, 2 of you. I think we are almost there. Sorry, give me a second. If I don't get these now, I feel like I'm never gonna get them. What are the difference between... Oh, one's brown and one's black. I see. Parents got me a CD player for my birthday in 8th grade, and then I was the baddest bitch at the recess listening to my burned dashboard confessional CDs my friend made me. Yeah! I would make my parents, like, mixtapes and stuff, and, like, just, they'd ask me all the time, Hammie, can you burn off a CD for me? And I'd be getting on the LimeWire, and I felt so badass. But then I blew through like so many, like my auntie had to come over and like reformat our computer so many times because of LimeWire. Discord is definitely starting to circle the publicity traded drain, so it wouldn't hurt to have a plan for where to land after it collapses. All of you guys will find me on Gaia Online again after this. Trust. Based on history, there'll be a really clear place everyone is going before Discord actually fully dies. Yeah, this is true. Because, like, when Twitter was, like, seemingly on its last legs, a lot of people fled to, like, back to Tumblr or to Blue Sky. Like, people eventually figure it out, you know? Or they fled to Discord. But, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. Maybe a better Discord will come around. Hamela Hampter master thread bumped for each new stream. And a bunch of acquaintance friends because I gave out burned CDs to people. Like, I think at one point in my middle school, that was like a black market to some people. Like, some people would buy CDs off of other people because they would have like limited internet access or limited computer access and stuff. And it was just kind of like, it was kind of crazy. Adolescence was a weird ass time. I wanna kiss you, I wanna touch you. Back to this time, but I'm ticking like crazy. Let's see, what do you need here? Is it... We need a gray one of these. Do we have another gray one though? Yes, we do. Here you are. Hacker ham. I need that gif. I need that gif. So bad. Are these his feet? Thank you for the hydration check. I'm gonna need to get more water in a bit, but I think I still have some. I've been going crazy with my water today. Crazy town. I need one of you. I need two of you, actually, if I'm being honest. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, 4. Proud of you for hydrating, Hammie. Keep it up. Thank you. Thank you guys for always keeping me on top of it. I really do appreciate it because I lock the hell in for these things. I like this. This looks really cool. I'm so excited. Moist hamster. Don't say that again. I don't know about that. You shouldn't let your hamsters get wet because they can mildew. And you don't want me to mildew, do you? I need 2 of these little brown pieces. 2 of these little brown pieces. Wait, they can mildew? I think they can. Like, you can tell your hamster is sick if I believe if his butt is wet or his tail. Because it's not supposed to be wet. And, like, I know it's not good for them. It's either mildew or no, it's not mildew. They can catch hypothermia really easily. They're really fragile. They're really fragile. Turgid hamster. That works. I like that word. You don't hear it very often. Wait, what the hell happened? Mildew and mildont. Dang, hamsters are glass cannons. Be nice to your hamster. They're fragile. Oh, I don't think I was supposed to put that there, so we're gonna backtrack a tiny bit. We're just gonna redo this. Okay, okay, we got this. Oh, fish. Can I have fish breakfast in chat? Will you guys humor a hamster? What'd you get? You got Pete Wentz! Proud of you. Yay, fish breakfast! He's expensive. This guy was up for a Grammy too. Lobster. I don't know if he got one. It was Best New Artist, I think, but I don't think he won. Be strong, add game. Ooh, a hermit crab. You got a, is that a Sanjogahara? Oh my god, one of my hairs dropped onto the... I shedded myself on camera. Hopefully you didn't see it. Immersion break. I think we're good. I heard Sanjogahara. We caught a hermit crab. Blackberry did. Do I need to make another one of these? Oh no, that's the head. We're good. Oh, we're on 6 out of 10. Or, yeah, 6 out of 10. We're getting close, chat. We're getting really close. Are we making the head more? Been stabbed by the crab. Send help. Oh, no. Aww. My #1 boy. He's been on #1 for a month on a 2-year slot. I'm really proud of him. You can tell whenever Joe Curie gets an interview, though, the light leaves his eyes when they ask him about end of beginning. So we need 2 of these. I want a fish. I will now fish. Oh, fuck. We need a couple of these guys. Yeah, a couple of these guys. I think this last hat, can we pin this? Maybe. My mods can pin it. I'm not gonna pin it. My mistake. Actually, I will pin it. One moment. Oh, man. I got it. I got it. It is now pinned. Whoa, another? Whoa. Pete is popular tonight. Oh, come on. This one's being kind of stubborn. Oh, I got it. I got it. Good night, Super Manager. I hope you have a good snoozer. Is this one or two? One. Have a good ass sleep. Let's see. Hold on, how did these go? This looks confusing as hell. Oh wait, I think I get it. I think I get it. No, I don't get it at all. Wait, hold on. Why the hell? Oh wait, I do get it. I do get it. Maybe. Oh my god, hold on. We're getting it, chat. We're getting it. So we need a couple more of these guys. Is that right? Yeah. Leatherback turtle. Oh, Jimmy Eat World. Pour one out for Seth, who's in class. I'm sure he would have fucked with this too. Whoa, he looks sick. Look at that. Look at those horns. He's friend-shaped. Almost there. Almost there, chat. We gotta start thinking about some Hammie to raid into. We need you. Wait, where the hell do these go? Oh god. Did I forget to put you somewhere? No. Friend-shaped, not Ifrit. The evil Ifrit. I don't know why I got these out. I'm a little nervous. I hope I didn't forget something. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. So this is what we're doing now. Oh no, I get what you mean. Friendship shaped Ifrit. I'm gonna get sued and it's not even my fault. Can they DMCA me? Square Enix? Probably. Do it to Daiso instead. But don't, because I love Daiso. Legally distinct Ifrit. So we need this here. If we need someone to raid, I have a friend playing Final Fantasy 14 right now. Ooh, okay. I think it will be maybe another, I want to say another half hour at most. So if they're going for a while, we can definitely do that. I trust you in who to raid. I really like Nerdy B quite a bit. She's really sweet. I know that was the last person you suggested. So we got a joint. We need a joint here. Plus it's also thematic if it's Final Fantasy. I'm gonna put these here and forget about them for now because I'm getting anxious. I don't know what we just made, but it kind of looks like something claw-shaped. I'll put you over here for now. This is going to be probably the most confusing part. It's the body, I think, but it's the last part I got to put together, and then I can put together the whole. So let's get the last pieces out. We need 2. And then 2. This piece, and then you. 2 of you. Oh, there's 3 of that one. Different. No one knew me then. Back in Maryland. 2. And then we need, oh god, 4 of these assholes. 2. 4. And then 2 of you. And then 1 of you. Is that brown or black? Brown. Gotta look at this one really closely. So these are gonna go together. No one knew me then, back in Maryland. You want the Y'shtola magic deck? I hope you get it. The Final Fantasy magic stuff, like the bundled stuff, got so expensive. Like, you can find the loose stuff really easy, but It's kind of frustrating how expensive those decks ended up getting. And if you want Final Fantasy 7 or 14, you pay the tax, the popularity tax typically, if you're buying at your local game store. Which I get it, get that bag, but also it's so expensive. And then we want... Oh, we needed 4 of those. That's fine. That's fine. Is that me? Did I get a trout? I got a trout. I did get, I'm really happy though. I got a few Edge of Eternity cards. But the most important one is the one I decorated. I decorated this one because it looked like Mr. Bark. It's the Chrome Companion. So I decorated a little top loader for it. Cards that go up a lot from small things that don't impact actual gameplay. Yeah. Popularity. Yay. Really does look like Mr. Bark. It does, doesn't it? And when he got his injury, I got kind of scared because I thought I had jinxed him because I was like, Mr. Bark, it looks like you, but you don't need wheels. And they told me if Mr. Bark keeps using the stairs and I don't carry him, he could be the Chrome Companion. So I was like, okay, we do be carrying Mr. Bark down and up the stairs now. Yes, Philia, I have that one too. Honestly, I kind of started buying all of the Corgi Magic cards. I might make a doggy deck. I don't know how well most of those cards will fit in, but I want to make a deck with the Corgis in it. Want to play Magic? I'm on the verge of just joining random lobbies online. Might not be bad. Might not be bad. Could make some more friends that way too. Which one's this one actually? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this one's. I think this goes here. Hands, not head. Oh, I'm putting this on Ron. It's cute. You already win. Hehehe. One doesn't play Magic to make friends. You play Magic to end them. That's true. That's true. I get you. I get what you're putting down. Especially if you're a blue player. Fair. The hell is this? How the hell does this work? I think I get it. I think I get it. Hold on, I gotta look at this really closely. Maybe I should be wearing my glasses. That's okay. One, 2, 3, 4. Medicine is charlatan. Wow, be nice. I need to play more Magic. I need to not be a hermit this year, chat. I need to not be a hermit this year. I need to go out and, like, actually do things. I was a hermit last year because of my leg issues, and I can't do that again. I can't do that again. Oops, I put that on wrong. Yeah, that's how it goes. little divot in the middle. Hammie, my offer still stands to teach you how to play Magic with Super Manager and mess around. So I know how to play, well, I kind of know how to play it on a very beginner level. It's very beginner level still, but I still kind of know. I got all those Magic cards earlier this year, and I've played a little bit. And sometimes I have casual get-togethers with my friends, but it hasn't happened in a while because the holidays got in the way. But yeah, I would still like to play. Maybe we can figure out a chance. Magic offer is different. I'll show you how to cast fireballs in Strug. I read that as fireballs in Nug. And I was like, are we lighting up? Okay, we got it. I think. Okay, we gotta start putting this shit together. Oh, okay, that's fair, Hammy. No, I would love to play, but I am, I'm probably, I wouldn't play competitively. I'm not that good or anything. But you wouldn't have to teach me from the ground up, but you'd probably have to be a little patient with me, I'll be honest. Fireball and Nugs sound like a pretty okay time. Yeah. Bye, Mohammedism. We're gonna finish up here in a minute. You have a good rest of your night, okay? Thanks for dropping by. I had a lot of fun. The deck is not competitive, don't worry. I have a really mean Emmett Silk deck. It's mean. It makes people mad, but, you know. Oh god, how am I gonna do this? Okay, hold on. I got this. Which Emmett is it? The flipping one? Yes. He's my commander. And he do be flippin'. Uh-oh, this is gonna be difficult. Oh god. Hold on. We could be having a crisis here. Give me a sec. Hammie is blue-black like me. Yeah, it is true. It is true. I am blue-black. Oh, this song. Hammie can be forgiven because they haven't casted Counterspell yet. I don't know. You guys would be... I think if you played against my Emmett deck, you'd be kind of pissed off. I piss everybody off when I play them with that deck. I'm not even good at using it. It's just kind of mean. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is a crisis. I'm gonna crash out. Okay, we won't crash out. We'll get there. We'll get there, chat. We'll get there. We always do. Sometimes it takes a bit, but we'll get there. Ah! Did you guys see that? That sucked. You're not sure if I loved you less, would you love me more? Uh-oh, what did I do wrong? Did I do this backwards? Did I do this backwards? Sorry, I'm thinking. For better or for worse, I don't play enough Commander. See, Commander might be the I think that's the only format I actually know right now. It's fun, though. I think I know what I did. And I'm gonna fix it. We will fix it. Maybe we'll fix. Heather fights people and ends at turn 2. I believe you. I believe you. I bet Heather's cracked. I bet you're all cracked, actually. I bet none of you are giving you as much credit as you should. Card games are hard to learn, so I hope you guys are giving yourselves credit. Love me more. Did I fix it? I think I might have fixed it. I think I fixed it. Maybe I didn't. What if I stopped caring? Ah! Main deck is Pachignus. I've never said that word out loud. I've only read it. And anyone who knows Magic knows what a meme card that is. Oh, okay, okay. I have heard of that. I have heard of that. Pretty sure that the commander I made is chromatic and vulnerable to removal. Oh no, like removal, do you mean like it'll get yeeted? Oh no. Played Yu-Gi-Oh!, Vanguard, Magic, Pokemon, Battle Spirits, Digimon, some other card games. I played Weiss Schwartz and a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! Think I'm half decent at a hand of blackjack. Will you teach me blackjack? Progenitus. Progenitus. Yay. Fuck. I messed it up. I went to a casino and spent $10 and I didn't get $10. I had just turned 18. And I've never gone back. I was so scorned. But then I also, like, not very long after, I had a really vivid dream where I gambled my entire, like, life savings and stuff away and, like, ruined my family and everything. So, I didn't gamble anymore after that. The only real text Progenitus says is protection from everything. That's fucked up. He's really cute. I can't tilt his head anymore, but you know what? That's alright. That's alright. He's kind of cool. I'll probably fix him off camera, but... Oh, let's see. I like him. He's gonna be so cute-ums. Oh, I really like this song. Is this his... Oh god, not again. I'm putting these to the side for now. You're pissing me off. Oh no. Oh no, I was supposed to put this here. I think I was supposed to put this here. 2 mana of every color, so 10 total. It's 10/10. Needs 3 turns to hit the 21 commander damage requirement. That's mean. That's not nice at all. Oh, we're so close, chat. Whoops. Yeah, this is what needs to go here. These are really cute. I can't wait to make more with you, chat. I'm gonna have to find time soon to make. We've got 6 more to go. Yeah, he's just there to look scary and menacing, I bet. You need to go the other way? Yeah, I think you go... No, the other way. Where's his Pete's? Right here. I wish this one had a base though, because it's gonna topple over the second I put it down. I can tell. I'm not a fortune teller, but I can tell that. He's really cute. Very big fan. Doesn't he have another set of arms? No, they're just legs. He gives the razzle dazzle. Yeah, this is gonna take some playing around with. That's okay. He's cute. Okay, how do the arms go? This one goes over here. Oh no, I put them on the wrong way. Oh god. Did I accidentally make the same hand twice? Hold on, I can fix this. I don't know, Ham. A lot of time you reveal that you have the powers of prophecy from Apollo. I guess you're right. I do have pretty good intuition. I just don't know how to apply it. And then sometimes I'm like Icarus and I fly too close to the sun. You know? Uh-oh. Okay, okay. Hold on, I gotta fix this one and then we'll be done, I think. Oh god. Please. Alright, look at him. That's the homie. Here you go, you can see. What do we think? I like him. That's my buddy. Oh god, I really can't pose him very well. Well, actually, this isn't too bad. I do like that they're posable though. That's pretty cool for a little brick building, you know? $2? Yeah, get your fishing in, okay? Because we're gonna raid soon. We're gonna raid out. So I'm gonna play with this for a second. Jellyfish plushie. Cute. I'm gonna fish too. I deserve it. I worked very hard today. So, we built Ifrit. And he's pretty cute. And then we built the Azure Dragon. Or Dragoon. I had a lot of fun, chat. Next time we'll do the same thing and we'll flip the dice. Maybe I'll have the, I used the D20 this time that Super Manager left over here. But maybe next time I'll, get my Final Fantasy die out. I guess I'll tidy up really quick, too. You guys don't mind if I tidy up. Anyway, we'll do more of these soon because I got 6 more to go through and I really enjoy it. I'm glad we got 2. I was only gonna do 1, I thought, because it took me so long to do the dragon, but if I keep up with it, maybe next time it won't take that long. Lucid, your friend that you said you wanted to suggest, are they still going? Because we can read into them. Let's see. Put you in here. Okay. Mr. Bark is very sleepy. It's good we're finishing up, I think. Oh, I can put this back now. Because we're doing it today. Yes, they are. Sweet. Want to drop that ad and we'll get this going. Coconut VT. Okay. I got this. Stick around for the raid, chat, and then my next stream will be probably Tuesday. We're gonna have puzzle night, and then I'm gonna make some more Puyo hams off of the list. So stay tuned. They're helping their friend who just started FF. That sounds like fun. Yeah, let's read into them. Stick around for some bonus channel points. Otherwise, I'll see you probably on Tuesday. And you know the drill. Be good, be safe, and most of all, be kind. And I'll see you then, okay? Thank you for coming by, chat. You have a good night, okay? Wait, hold on. There we are. We'll start the raid now. You miss Hammie already? I'll be back before you know it. I'll be back before you know it. And then you'll see me in the Discord. If you're not part of the Discord, become a part of the Discord. We can hang out. I'll start doing watch-alongs again soon, I promise. Mwah, chat. Good night, okay? Oh, I do that back. You guys deserve a yippee. You deserve a yippee if you can get one. We should do a raid message, though. We got a few seconds. Why don't we just Hamela Wiggly? Oh, I don't think we're gonna hit the meter, but we might hit it with a Hamela Wiggly. We'll Hamela Wiggly at Coconut. Oh, hi, Irregular. Good night, Irregular. I know we can get it. Just a couple more Hamela Wigglies. And we can yippee. Oh no, did it break? Oh, I think it might have broke. Hold on. You guys will yippee in my heart, okay? I'm gonna see if this is gonna work. Let's see if this works. I'll do it for you. No, it won't let me test it while I'm live. No, I'm sorry, chat. Be safe.